My dear brothers and sisters, we have come to the last chapters of the book of Judges, and today we are going to reflect the chapter 19 of book of Judges. And it is a very distressing chapter because there is the crime of Gibeah. So one of the group of people of Israelites, they did a very serious crime which was later known as the crime of Gibeah. And we are going to reflect about this today. Let's read chapter 19 verse 1. In those days when there was no king in Israel, it is I think 3 or 4 times it is mentioned in this book of Judges. Those days there was no king in Israel. Those days there was no king in Israel. So those days there is no king in Israel. So it shows that there is no leadership and they were not ready to accept God as their king. And when there is no leadership and when God is not there in charge, there is a lot of commotion, confusion, and anarchy going on. And the worst case of anarchy is mentioned in this chapter. And that is what we are going to read and reflect today. In those days when there was no king in Israel, a certain Levite residing in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. A Levite who is coming from the Levite tribe. He took one concubine from Ephraim, Bethlehem of Judah, where Jesus was born. And from there he took one concubine. Concubines are very common and is a legal status. There are wives plus concubines. Solomon had 300 concubines and so many wives. So there is official wives and concubine. Concubine doesn't have the equal status like wives. So they have a different status in the household. But wives have got a very powerful position in the house. But concubines do not have such equal status of a wife as a wife. So this man, a Levite man who took one concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. And what happened to this concubine? But his concubine became angry with him. Most probably because of his nature. Some people's nature can create anger in the other person's behavior. But his concubine became angry with him and she went away from him. So she separated himself from this husband and went away from him to her father's house at Bethlehem in Judah and was there for some 4 months. 4 months she was away from the home, away from the husband. She was so upset with the husband. Most probably the husband's nature is very difficult to adjust with, and therefore this concubine decided to leave the home and went to her father's house and stayed there in the father's house for 4 months. Let's read verse 3. Then her husband set out after her. Now the husband is going in search of the wife, the concubine. So here we can see husband and wife separation and how to deal with the husband and wife in their separation. When you are in anger, when you are in separation, how to deal such situations. Especially when you feel the unfaithfulness of your husband or a wife. How to deal with such situations. It is mentioned in this passage very clearly. Then her husband set out after her to speak tenderly to her and bring her back. So his intention to bring her back. He understood his mistake, or we don't know exactly what was in his intention, but he wanted to bring her back. And therefore, he decided there is no point in accusing her. Why did you leave? Why did you do this? There is no point in accusing her. There is no point in attacking her. There is no point in threatening her. The only thing that can console and heal the wound is tender conversation. Kind-hearted conversation. So he knew when there is a separation, when there is a confusion in the family, the best way to sort it out is to speak tenderly, not speak angrily. If you speak angrily, with revenge, with threatening, shouting, it will only worsen the situation. And this husband was intelligent. He understood to speak tenderly and he spoke tenderly. And he had with him his servant and a couple of donkeys. So he had with him one servant and 2 donkeys. Because he knows on the way back, one donkey is needed for the concubine to sit on. and that is why he took extra vehicle along with him. So when he reached her father's house, the girl's father saw him and came with joy to meet him. So girl's father was so happy to meet him. There may be two reasons why girl's father is so happy. One reason, at last her daughter, the boy is coming to take her back, and his daughter will be happy, and the future of the daughter will be safe. Because there was uncertainty of the future of this daughter, because she came back from the husband's house. Now the husband has come in search of her, so he's happy. The second reason, maybe he's so happy that she is going away from the home, and he was so upset that she came back, and now he's happy that she is going back. And verse 4, we read like this: his father-in-law, the girl's father, made him stay. His father-in-law, the girl's father, made him stay, and he remained with him 3 days. So they ate and drank, and he stayed there. So his father-in-law was a brilliant man. He made sure to have comfortable feeling for this son-in-law. And 3 days, sumptuous meal, eating and drinking and celebrations, and showing his extreme love, so that he will never hurt his daughter anymore. And verse 5, we read, and there are so many people, there are so many father-in-laws and mother-in-laws, when they are upset with their son-in-law or daughter-in-law, they treat very badly. That is a wrong decision. If you really want your children's family to be happy, treat your in-laws very lovingly. Otherwise, you are destroying your children's family. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. This father-in-law is an example for all the in-laws, mother-in-laws and father-in-laws. So remember this father-in-law always. On the 4th day, they got up early in the morning, and he prepared to go. On the 4th day, he was ready to go, because 3 days of sumptuous meal. I think the father-in-law is almost bankrupted. So then he decided to go, prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, fortify yourself with a bit of food. No, there are some more food remaining. Why don't you stay back? So fortify yourself with a bit of food, and after that you may go. So he encouraged him to stay back one more day. And then verse 6 we read, so the two men sat and ate and drank together. These two people, father-in-law and son-in-law, both of them sat together and started eating, drinking. And the girl's father said to the man, why not spend the night and enjoy yourself? So stay one more day. And then verse 7. When the man got up to go, his father-in-law kept urging him until he spent the night there again. So he spent the 4th day also. And then, so he is influenced by this father-in-law, and he stayed there for 4 days. On the 5th day, he got up early in the morning to leave. And the girl's father said, fortify yourself. Again, he started with the temptation. So they lingered until the day declined. And the two of them ate and drank the whole day. Again, they were eating and drinking. And verse 9, we read like this. When the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave his father-in-law, the girl's father said to him, look, the day has worn on until it is almost evening. Spend the night. See, the day has drawn to a close. Spend the night here and enjoy yourself. Tomorrow you can get up early in the morning for your journey and go home. It is better to go for a long journey in the early morning. Don't go in the evening. So this is what he said. But he was got fed up, because every day this father-in-law is pestering him to stay back. So that day but the man would not spend the night. He got up and departed. He immediately got up and arrived opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem, where the Jebusites used to live. He had with him a couple of saddled donkeys, and his concubine was also with him. So these donkeys and concubine and the servant, they all went. And verse 11, when they were near Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said to his master, come now, let us turn aside to this city of the Jebusites and spend the night in it. So the servant said, let us go and be with the Jebusites. But then this man said, no, we will not turn aside into a city of foreigners. These are pagans, foreigners who do not belong to the people of Israel, but we will continue on to Gibeah. They wanted to go to Gibeah. Gibeah is the Israeli town, Israel, the people of Israel. So they didn't want to be with the Jebusites, the pagans, but they wanted to be with the Israelites, thinking that is safe for them. That safe place is their own family members. Sometimes we also make mistakes like this. We think being with our own people, our own culture, our own race, our own type of people, our own family members, our own nationalities, our own linguistic group is safe. But mostly it is in the opposite way. Sometimes we may be well treated in another place, another group of people. Let's read verse 13. Then he said to his servant, "Come, let us try to reach one of these places and spend the night at Gibeah or at Ramah." And verse 14. So they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. So this Gibeah is a place of Benjamin, the tribe of Benjaminites. Verse 15, we read, they turned aside there to go in and spend the night at Gibeah. He went in and sat down in the open square of the city, but no one took them into spend the night. Though they are own family members, they all are Israelites, they are all one of these tribes, but still nobody welcomed them into their houses. There may be reasons why. We'll come to know the reasons why nobody took them to their houses, because it was not safe for anyone to keep them, because the city was so bad. Let's read verse 16. Then at evening there was an old man coming from his work in the field. The man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was residing in Gibeah. The people of the place were Benjaminites. So he was an Ephraimite. He and this man, this son-in-law, this man who is coming with the concubine, he's also Ephraimite. He's coming from Ephraim. And this man is also Ephraim, but he's staying with the Benjaminites in Gibeah. And verse 17. When the old man looked up and saw the wayfarer in the open square of the city, he said, "Where are you going and where do you come from?" Then verse 18. He answered him, "We are passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, from which I come. I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to my home. Nobody has offered to take me in." So he told the truth, and he said he's an Ephraimite, and this old man is also from Ephraim. And verse 19. "We, your servants, have straw and fodder for our donkeys, with bread and wine for me and the woman and the young man along with us. We need nothing more." We have everything. We are self-sufficient. We only need a place to stay. That's all. This is what he meant to say. And then verse 20. The old man said, "Peace be to you. I will care for all your wants. Only do not spend the night in the square. It's not safe to spend the whole night here in the square. Come with me. Let's go to the house, and I will take care of you." Verse 21. So he brought him into his house and fed the donkeys. They washed their feet and ate and drank. They had a sumptuous meal there. They had a peaceful night. And verse 21. While they were enjoying themselves, as they were enjoying, the men of the city, a perverse lot, a lot of people who are pervert, surrounded the house and started pounding on the door. It is not just knocking, they were punching on the door. It was a rude behavior. It was not a proper way of doing it, and they started kicking on the door. They said to the old man, the master of the house, "Bring out the man who came into your house, so that we may have intercourse with him." So they were attacking the house to have illegitimate, immoral relationship, homosexual relationship with this man who has come. Though there was women there, but they are interested in these kinds of things. Let's read verse 23. And the man, the master of the house, went out to them and said to them, "No, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Since this man is my guest, do not do this wild thing." This is exactly what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. Almost similar action is done by the Benjaminite, the Israeli tribes. And then he pleaded in front of them, "He's my guest, I don't want to hurt him." And then verse 24. "Here are my virgin daughter and is this concubine." We will give these women, my daughter or this concubine. That means this man, this old man, given more importance for another man who is a stranger than his own daughter. More important. And any woman. So according to Jewish people, they don't value the women. those days, in the olden times. And that is why they were even ready to sacrifice their children, this daughter and this concubine, just to protect this guest who is a stranger. And both of them, they did a mistake. Except the daughter and concubine, all these people, all these men are at wrong. They were doing extremely evil. And let me bring them out now, ravish them and do whatever you want to do with them. How can your father say this? But he said it. That shows how perverted the whole Israel was when there was the absence of leadership. They did not accept God as their leader. They didn't have any king as their leader. And now, total anarchy. But against this man, do not do such a vile thing. And read verse 25. But the men would not listen to him. So the man seized his concubine, and put her out. So this man who went to take the concubine, who received all the loving, sumptuous meal of his father-in-law, who spoke tenderly to this woman, and out of looking at the tender conversation of this man, this lady came along with him. Now when there was a situation, when her life was in danger, his life was in danger, he was ready to sacrifice. He was so happy to sacrifice this concubine. And this concubine, who is also his wife, she was so afraid, therefore he forcefully seized his concubine and put her out to the outside. So they wantonly raped her and abused her all through the night until the morning. All these men abused her. And as the dawn began to break, they let her go. After that, until morning, they abused her. Verse 26 we read, as morning appeared, the woman came and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was until it was light. She was completely broken and she was almost dying, and she somehow managed to come back, and she fell down on the door of the man who was sleeping. Her husband was sleeping peacefully, and she was tortured so badly. Verse 27 we read, in the morning her master got up, opened the doors of the house, and when he went out to go on his way, there was his concubine lying at the door of the house with her hands on the threshold. He was about to go. He didn't even think of this concubine. He was just about to go. And then he happened to see this wife lying down on the door. And verse 28, get up, he said to her, we are going. He didn't even ask how she is. He didn't check. He said, get up, we are going. But there was no answer because she was already dead. Then he put her on the donkey, and the man set out for his home. Though she was dead, he put her on the donkey, and the man set out for his home. Verse 29. When he reached the house, when he reached the house, he took a knife, and grasping his concubine, he cut her into 12 pieces. The whole body of this woman was cut into 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout all the territory of Israel. He was so upset about this situation. Though this moral anger which he had now, he did not show it the previous night. But now he has a terrible anger about all the situations. He cut into pieces the whole body of this concubine into 12 pieces and sent to all the 12 tribes of Israel. Let's read verse 30. Then he commanded the men whom he sent, saying, thus shall you say to all the Israelites, has such a thing ever happened since the day that the Israelites came up from the land of Egypt until this day? Consider it, take counsel and speak out. So this is his command. This is the only goodness that he has done in his life. He commanded to tell all the tribes, have you heard anything like this happen in the history of Israelites from the Egypt? Therefore consider it, take counsel and speak out. So he was warning everyone with this message. So this is the whole story. Praise the Lord. The whole chapter of 19. We will continue reflecting about this rest of the chapters in the coming days. My dear brothers and sisters, this is very terrible to see when there is no proper leadership to guide the people of Israel, how bad these holy chosen people of God could become. Even today, if you don't have somebody to control, if you don't have a spiritual father, a spiritual mother, someone to counsel you and advise you and correct you and lead you in the right track, we all can become like these in our daily life. We all can divert away from our focus and fall into grips of the passion and grips of the evil. And therefore, we all should have a proper spiritual guidance. We should always accept God as our King, and our spiritual fathers or spiritual mothers who are helping us to grow spiritually we should be obedient to, and so that we will be safe. Otherwise, something like this we will fall into. Let's sing together the offertory hymn.